Let's get to today's supplemental from the garage video. And what we're highlighting today is brother from another mother at Tony Glenn went out and got himself a Ferrari F430. And super happy for him. Interview him. We talk about the car. We talk about sort of the catalyst, why he bought the car. I'm always looking at cars. I'm always looking online, shopping around for cars. Cars, especially exotic cars, there's some value. My wife's not convinced, but these are tangible assets that I've had instances in my career, needed to buy some equipment, needed to upgrade equipment and stuff, sold the 62, made some money, and was able to take that money and apply it towards buying my equipment and stuff, and even bought another vehicle that I was using to pull the equipment. So, if you enjoy cars, you love cars, I would just say, like, do your homework, do your due diligence, seek out people that you respect their opinions, that are knowledgeable. And in the comments, like, one of the things that I would say, and this is a question I asked for Tony, what, if any, cars were you interested in as a kid? And did you ever get that car, or have you gotten a cool car? And whether you regretted getting a cool car or not, please share. I mean, I love this stuff. I love hearing from other people. I love hearing other people's experience with cars and stuff like that. Before we get to Tony, in my car evolution, and I won't tell the full story, for those of you that are in the horse industry that spend some time in Wellington, Tomasso, the carrot guy, okay? Well, Tomasso, back in the day, he and his wife owned a tack store, Parlante Boots. He had sort of the contract from Italy for Parlante Boots. And this is many, many years ago. I was working at the show, working for Tony Bucci as one of the official farriers. And again, this could be like 20 years ago. And Tomasso comes up to me one day. We're not very busy in the shop. And he proceeds to tell me this whole story when he was a kid in Italy, going to a barn, seeing at the barn somebody had a Ferrari. As the day went on, noticing like all the cars left, the Ferrari was still there, saying like, oh my God, who owns this Ferrari? And then the blacksmith is packing up and then goes to leave, and he gets in a Ferrari and drives away. And this guy was like, wow, who is that guy? Italian people, I apologize, being Italian American, my Italian is not very good, but they nicknamed him the Braccio d'Oro, the man with the golden arm. And when I heard that story, my ego sort of kicked in. And I said to myself, oh yeah, okay. Well, one day when I arrive in this business through hard work or whatever, I'm going to go out and buy myself a Ferrari. And I don't know how many years ago it's been, but I did in fact do that. I bought a 2001 360 Modena, a Spider convertible. Didn't do my homework. I have a good buddy in the industry. He sort of was helping me out. Didn't do a pre-purchase inspection. It was through a guy, I think it was on consignment. Drove the car, sure enough, check engine light came on. What did I know? He went, he resetted it. Long story short, car had like a Hammond exhaust, wasn't synced up to the computer. Sometimes it would go into limp mode. It had these like aftermarket wheels. I got to go through my phone. My phone erased a lot of pictures, unfortunately. If I could find some pictures of the car, I'll definitely share it. I did not love the car. Was the car beautiful to look at? Yes. Did the car have awesome interior that I wish Porsche, somehow had Italian interior, Italian styling? 100%. Rideability, I have to tell you, I would drive the car on certain roads here in New Jersey, and get the car up to like 60, 70 miles an hour. Now, again, you got the engine behind you, you hear it, it's like screaming. It was a gated shift, manual shift. Um, it would be shaking, would do a lot of things. I had 911s that literally, I had an '05 997 at one point. I could get up to about 120 miles an hour, and you would think you're doing 50 in the 911. In the 360, you were like, I could be doing 70. I thought I was doing 450 miles an hour. So for me, again, car had aftermarket tires, aftermarket wheels, aftermarket Hammond exhaust. So, in fairness to the car, probably not the best example. I sold it, I made some money. Had I kept it today, the car would be doubled in value because the gated shift. Let's talk about differences between 360 and 430. We'll get to Tony's video. 360 was from 99 to '05. The 430 was from '05 to '09. 360 was a 3.6 V8 where 400 horsepower. 430 is a 4.3 liter V8, 490 horsepower, greater torque, stiffer chassis, the 430. The biggest thing that I've heard, which was an important thing mechanically, was that the timing belts were in the 360, and that could be a problem with those cars, especially changing them. And the 430, they made timing which made it more reliable. '04, the 360 would cost you about 148,000 new, and in '09, the 430 would cost you about 187,000. There are my buddy's selling a 360 gated shift, probably goes for about $150 US right now. If you had a gated shift in the 430, big bucks, big bucks. Before we get to the video, biggest thing is do your homework on these cars. Do your homework on these cars. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoy this video. Hope you enjoy this interview. Going to bring some more horsepower related stuff in the future. A few other people I interview that have cool cars are way into driving. And that's about it, man. Thanks again for stopping by. I hope you're enjoying everything. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you next time on Shoenn with Jude. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, so my name is Tony Capozzi. I am a Canadian. That's right. I live in Montreal. I live in a little island called Ile Bizarre. It's a little island off the coast of Montreal.
What? Just give me a general background, like what type of business you're in loosely.
Okay, yeah, so I'm born and raised in Montreal. I own a software development company. We're in our 16th year of business. And yeah, we're one of those stories where we used to have an office downtown Montreal on Peel Street. After COVID, we are now fully remote. So that's a little story of my business.
Okay. Tell me one significant car story. When did cars get on your radar, and what, if any, car like was on your radar?
I guess like any other man or boy, always been into cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis. I think the first time I ever saw Countach was in the 80s. And I remember just staring at it with my mouth open, like this, saying, "I can't believe I'm actually seeing a Lamborghini Countach." That was one of my earliest memories.
How
Uh,
old were you?
uh, I must have been maybe 14, something like that, 14 years old. Um, I've never been a huge car guy, but I've always had Ferrari on my goal list. Like I'm a big Anthony Robbins follower. I've been following Anthony Robbins since the 80s actually. And he always said in his programs, write down your top 10 goals, as crazy as they may be. And if I look at my notes from the 80s, 90s, 10 years ago, Ferrari was always part of the top 10. So I finally was able to make it happen.
Okay. Before the Ferrari, did you have any other like sports cars that like what was your like your first you had a bit of success or you're working, you had some money in your pocket and you're like, yeah, I got to get a car. Like what was that car?
It was always a Corvette, man. So I was a Corvette guy. I think I've had 4 or 5 Corvettes throughout my life.
Starting when? Like what year? Well, give me the
Uh,
era.
so I think it was 1992. I bought an '84 beautiful candy apple red Corvette. That was my first ever, let's call it, I don't know if you want to call it a supercar, but the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
ever dream car was the Corvette. Um, but what's interesting about my Corvettes is they were daily drivers for me. And I would never consider this a daily driver. Like I baby the you know what out of this thing. Like I really take care of it. If it's raining, it's not coming out of the garage. But the Corvettes were they were those muscle cars that were during the summertime was my daily driver. So that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're here, we see the car that you've acquired. Give me a little bit of the history of like, okay, you have this on your list. This is like when I attain a certain level of success, I want to do this. Talk about like what led up to actually pulling the trigger for you to do this, and then we'll talk about the car.
Yeah, so financially it was possible finally. Then I had one of those years where I lost a couple of friends who were my age, and I started like freaking out a little bit. And so I said, you know what? I think I need to buy myself a Ferrari. So right away, being I'm not a Ferrari fanatic or anything like that. So right away, I went to the Magnum PI, the Miami Vice. So I did a little bit of research. I said, okay, I got to get a 328 or I got to get a Testarossa. The 328 I was looking at, and I was convinced that this was the car for me, right? Magnum PI, all of that stuff. Even though I think it was a 1986 I was looking at or something. And I was convinced this was going to be my Ferrari until I actually went to a Ferrari dealership in Montreal and I tried to sit in one. I couldn't even fit in it, and I was like, "Whoo! I'm so glad I didn't buy this online." Because I was actually doing that. There was one in Vancouver that I was going to buy and have shipped over to me because look, it's a Ferrari. I'm sure I'm going to like it, right? Um, so I went into this Ferrari dealership in Montreal who had like so many different Ferraris, old ones, new ones, $1 million cars, $200,000 cars, and I could not physically fit into the 328. And I was like, how does Magnum fit in this thing? And apparently they removed the seat for him or something. Did you ever hear that?
No.
Yeah. So then I said, okay, let me try the Testarossa. Same thing, way too small. And then the salesman said, look, I'm going to show you this other model that's probably in your price range. And that was the F430. And I walked up to the F430 and I looked at the first thing that caught my eye was the engine bay and the way that it's all glass in the back and you see that beautiful engine. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And I was able to slip into the driver's seat very comfortably. So I was sold.
Yeah. What would you say? So, how much research did you do? The car's on your radar. Now you're kind of thinking about it. Tell me sort of the steps, like for somebody that maybe they're thinking about crossing this particular bridge. What would the recommendations be, and what did you do to sort of dot every I and cross every T, if you did that?
I definitely reached out. Well, first of all, I reached out to you, Jude. I said, hey, man, you ever hear of the F430? And you gave me some good advice about the pre-purchase inspection. I sent you all of the paperwork that they had on the car. Oh, by the way, let me just back up. The F430 that they had in that dealership in the showroom is not the car that I bought. It's not this one. So the one they were selling was red, beautiful Ferrari red, but the mileage was a little bit high.
Hmm.
And then I found this one at another dealership in Montreal with, I think, a third of the mileage. So I decided, not that I'm a low mileage guy, but I figured I could buy the Ferrari, I could drive it for a few years and, basically have the same mileage as the red one. So what I did, just I reached out to you and you gave me some good pointers. I sent you all the logs because the prior owner had kept a detailed maintenance report of everything that he had done. You threw some shade on a couple things. But it's one of those things that I was pulling the trigger. Unless there was a disaster somewhere, I was pulling the trigger on the car. I just loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. How often do you try to get it out? Like, give me some of the highs and lows thus far with the car. Give me the positives that your experience with the car. You're happy with your purchase? You think it was for what you were hoping it to be? It's turned out to be that?
I definitely feel that I got lucky. I'm not a mechanic guy. Okay, so like I'm not going to get under the hood. Sorry, I'm not going to get under the hood and start changing the oil and diagnosing problems. So that's not my thing. So I was really lucky to get this car that's in absolute mint condition. I try to drive it as much as I can. I just moved to the city from the country. Now, when I was in the country, I had access to these beautiful country roads, winding country roads with brand new asphalt. It was really a dream. Now I'm in the city. I have to say, I hate driving the Ferrari in the city. So I need to find some country roads that I can get to. But where I'm living, I kind of got to drive through the city and then get to the country roads. So it's a little bit of a different experience now. Um, I definitely love taking the Ferrari out for a couple of hours on those country roads. Um, Now I'm kind of trying to find ways to get around the city because driving in the city, I don't like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get a lot of attention, but the stop and go and the lights and the stop signs and the potholes, it's definitely a challenge.
Anything negative you would say about the car? I mean, you just highlighted the fact that it's a little bit difficult, or you want to sort of do the right thing by the car and keep it off of like crappy roads and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But outside of that, anything that you would say like, I don't know, I wish X or Y with the car.
Honestly, no, I don't have any. I think I've put around 5,000 kilometers on it since I bought it. I don't know how many miles that is. Eric will throw up the mileage
Okay.
graphic. But no, honestly, this is a car that needs to be driven. This is a car that needs to be driven, not necessarily on a straight highway. It needs to be driven on, those, again, I'm going to say the country road term. It's just, that's what, to me, that's what this car is made for. Driving around the city, driving around town. Maybe I'll get used to it, but for now, um, hitting the highway, driving those country roads is where this baby belongs.
Would you ever take it to a show? I know you shared with me previously you went to like a Cars and Coffee.
Hmm.
Is that on your radar, like maybe for the future? I know we're coming into winter, like sometime in the spring or summer.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. That's a lot of fun. But the thing is with this car, you go and gas it up and you got guys coming up to you and asking questions. It's almost like a constant cars and coffee with this thing. Women are not interested in this car, by the way. This is a man car. Um, so yeah, cars and coffee are cool. I've been told that I should join a Ferrari club. There's a Ferrari Club of Montreal. I may join that. That might be cool to get together with some like-minded people and do some road trips.
Yeah.
And maybe some guys can turn me on to the country roads and in the outskirts of the city. So
Yeah.
yeah, it would be
Okay.
cool.
Last thing I would ask you, so, young guy, young lady out there, starting out sort of in their career, or, you've, like all of us have had highs and lows in business and stuff like that. What piece of advice would you give, like, to inspire young people insofar as their career and career goals? Like, what you're a father, you know, you
Hmm.
have young women that are, you know, coming up through school and stuff in the workplace. Give me like your Tony Glenn's like you know, words of advice to young people. Some young guy, some young woman, gee, I
Hmm.
would love to have a car like that someday. Like, what would you say?
Best advice I could ever give, it's financial. You got to take 20% of your take home pay and you got to throw it into the stock market. Throw it into, you know, I'm a big Canadian bank fan, but you can throw it into an index fund, you know, the S&P 500. But what's extremely important is you take 20% of your take home pay and you need to invest it. And you need to keep on investing every time. And a lot of people say, well, 20% of my take home pay, I can't do it. It's not true. You can do it. You completely can do it. 20% of your take home pay needs to be invested in the stock market. Index funds are fine. S&P 500 fund is great. That's the only way that you're going to be able to afford retirement. It's the only way you're going to afford beautiful cars like this. This is what it's all about. If I would have done that when I was a young man, I would probably have 5 or 6 of these babies right now. But really, that's the thing. Staying out of debt. All my advice is always financial. Staying out of debt is extremely important. Other than a mortgage, you know, if you're young, obviously get a mortgage, get a house. 20% of your take-home pay needs to be invested, and don't invest it in risky stuff. Put it in the U.S. stock market, S&P 500 index fund. You'll be golden.
Anything else? I mean, you could just throw out. Is there anything that I didn't cover that you would like to add?
No, I think that's it, man. Oh, I think black Ferraris are the best. Red Ferraris are too flashy, right? Black is black is beautiful. I don't know if I may tint these windows, you know, just to get a little bit of a low profile vibe going, but definitely if you have the money, obviously you don't buy these things on payments, right? Let's call that out. These things you buy them if you have the money. Just go for it. And if you don't like it and you regret it, then just sell it. You know,
It,
who cares?
will this be a forever Ferrari, or you think maybe down the line you'd be like, nah, I want to get something else?
You know what? This is my first Ferrari. I want to keep this for the rest of my life. I want to be that old guy driving that old Ferrari. That's my goal. That's why I may buy another one. You know, who knows, right? I'd love to buy maybe a Lambo one day, Lambo convertible. But to me, Ferraris are the sexiest car you can buy. Ferraris are the top of the top. But yeah, to answer your question, this is staying with me for the rest of my life. I
All
hope.
right, cool.